The Ken Theater was built in 1912 in the then-new community of Kensington in San Diego. 1912 was also the year the American film industry began taking baby steps with films like D.W. Griffith's The Musketeers of Pig Alley. But as with many theaters back then, the Ken wasn't fully committed to the movies, says the Ken Cinema's current manager, John Luis.
Behind the screen here, there's an actual stage. In a lot of movie theaters, they had used stages for vaudeville between the reels.
Luis says the Ken was built about the same time as the Spreckles Theater downtown, but for a very different crowd.
This was built as sort of a boonies theater, and it was competing against the downtown theaters. Downtown at that time was about 10 cents a film, and here it was cheap, a bargain at 5 cents.
And you might see something like Griffith's pioneering 1916 film, Intolerance. Landmark Theaters took over the Ken in 1975. It also took over a lot of history and memories, says Ken Cinema assistant manager Sophia Verbiscar.
We have posters, boxes and boxes of posters. I don't even know how far they go back. We have so many mystery reels of just film. We don't know what's on them. I don't think a week goes by that someone doesn't come in here reliving memories from the place.
The Ken Cinema, wow, that's interesting. I came out here when I was in the 8th grade, and my parents bought this building here, which was a gift shop at the time. And next door was the theater, of course. Bob Birkin was the owner. He asked me one night, hey, how would you like to work at the theater? And I said, sure, why not? And what it involved is cleaning the theater every night and then changing the marquee on Thursday nights. And so I got $1.05 a night. And I'm not sure I got anything extra for changing the marquee.
There was actually this woman, I think, who worked here probably in the 50s and 60s when Bob was the owner. She told me that he used to have a mirror right at the end of the booth stairs that he could watch from the booth what they were doing at the stand.
You can find very tangible history in the lobby with this carbon arc projector that was retired in 2006.
What distinguishes this from your modern projector is there's a lead element. It's basically a giant pencil. And when you run high current electricity through this, it creates an arc gap, and that spark is what creates the light for the film. And what's also unique about these, or the detriment of these, is that they only last for about 20 minutes, because this element will burn down over time. And hence, that's why we have 20-minute reels. So now we're going into our booth. Okay, so these are all the fire doors that existed back in as early as 1912. Nitrate film was very flammable, so if in fact there was a fire, there was a fuse here and that would burn, and these would slam down and shut so that fire wouldn't go outside of the booth and would protect people in the audience. Of course, the projectionists would have to scramble out of the booth. We have 35mm projection right here. This is our digital projector, and this is our platter system.
Platter technology means a projectionist takes the individual 20-minute reels and splices them together on an editing bench to create one giant reel to place on a platter and to run through a single projector.
So all the film would rest on this turntable, and as you play the film, it'll go through the projector and then back out onto this top platter. So you have the film exiting one platter and then entering the next platter, and then start. We're very well known as a midnight movie theater. So, for example, we've always had a Rocky Horror Picture Show for some time.
As well as a sing-along sound of music.
It was so great because of the bouncing ball, and you had all the words along the bottom of the screen, and then you had all these people. Sometimes you'd have guys with full beards and biker outfits in their regular day wearing nuns' habits coming in there to sing. It was fantastic, and the place was just packed.
We're fully interactive, and we do a lot of crazy things here.
Like the spam tossing contest. The Ken also has some other unique features.
We have a viewing window here. This was used for when patrons wanted to have a smoke, but couldn't smoke inside the theater. Okay, as you can see, this is our crying room. So mothers, caregivers with their babies could go into this room, watch the movie in this soundproof room, which also had a speaker. You don't see these features in today's modern multiplexes anymore.
And the Ken has the tiniest women's bathroom. But these are all things that longtime patrons have come to love. And folks like Guy Hanford hope that the theater remains a vital part of the community for years to come.
If you're not going to the theater here at the Ken, you're missing one of the rare archival places you have in the community.